Pa-like na lang po 'pag start na tayo. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ma'am Neng. So this is our group discussion regarding to those two topic which are the attribution theory and the self-efficacy theory. So let's proceed to attribution theory. Ayan. So let me read the introduction. Attribution theory explain how individuals interpret events and how this relates to their thinking and behavior. So yung attribution theory no, yung topic na to, hindi mo siya magigets kung babasahin mo lamang. So hayaan nyo akong magbigay ng mga ng example upang mas maunawaan natin itong topic na to. Okay? So halimbawa, sa klase ninyo, yung subject na yun ay favorite mo at ngunit nung isang araw ay nagkaroon ng nagkaroon ng nagkaroon ng discussion ng teacher ninyo at nagtanong-tanong. Ngunit ikaw ay parang walang gana. May isang kaklase na nagtaas ng kamay dahil may tanong ang teacher ninyo. Nung nagtaas siya ng kamay, nasagot niya yung tanong ng confident at maayos niya itong nasagot. Wait lang pala. Maayos niya yung nasagot. Ikaw na dahil nga favorite mo yung subject, ang iisipin mo dun sa nagtaas ng kamay ay siya ay bida-bida or siya ay nagmamarunong o nagpapakitang gilas sa teacher. Kinabukasan, ganun ulit ang nangyari. Nag-discuss ulit yung teacher ninyo at pero ikaw na yung may alam nung topic at mas confident ka na. Nagtaas ka ngayon ng kamay. Pagkataas mo ng kamay, mas naipakita mo rin o nasagot mo rin ng maayos yung tanong. Ang nasa isip mo nun, kaya mo lamang nasagot yung tanong na maayos is dahil nag-aral ka ng mabuti. Ngayon, ilalagay natin yung posisyon mo dun sa posisyon na nangyari sa kahapon. Iisipin nung kaklase mo na ikaw ay bida-bida. Pero dahil nga ikaw sa sarili mo, alam mong nag-aral ka lang naman, iisipin mong hindi ka bida-bida. So, ganun lamang siya, no? Itong attribution theory, meron siyang tatlong ways. Ang una na rito ay, next slide, ayan, next slide po tayo. Ayan. Meron tayong unang way. Ito ang locus or place. Internal versus external. If your student traces his good grade to his ability and to his hard work, he attributes his good grade to internal factors. If your student, however, claims that his good grade is due to effective teaching of his teacher or to the adequate library facilities, he attributes his good grades to factors and external to himself. Ayun yung locus daw ay merong dalawang uri. Ito yung internal factor at yung external factor. Yung internal factor, like kagaya ng nakalagay dito sa presentation, halimbawa ikaw ay nag-exam at mataas ang nakuha mong grades. Sa internal factor, iisipin mo na kaya ka nakakuha ng mataas na grades is dahil nag-review ka, dahil ginawa mo yung best mo, at dahil ayun sa sarili mo, kaya ka nakakuha ng mataas na grades. While sa external factors naman, iisipin mo kaya ka nakakuha ng mataas na grades dahil magaling yung teacher mo, maganda yung facilities na pinapagamit sa inyo, or maganda yung mga gamit na nabasa mo. Kung nagigets natin yung comparison so ganun siya, internal versus external. While naman sa stability, which is the next slide, Next slide po, ayan. Stability. Stable versus unstable. If you attribute your poor performance to what you have inherited from your parents, then you are attributing the cause of your performance to something stable, something that cannot change because it is in your genes. If you attribute it to excessive watching of TV, then you are claiming that your poor eyesight is caused by unstable factor, something that can change. Ayun no. Isa pa ay stability refers to the perceived permanence or consistency of the cause over time. At stable causes factors that are perceived as consistent or long-lasting, such as ability or personal traits. Um, yung unstable causes naman nito ay yung factors that are perceived as temporary or variable, such as effort or luck. Okay, next na po tayo.
So, ayun. Dumako naman tayo ngayon sa controllability. Controllable versus uncontrollable. If your student claims his poor academic performance is due to his teacher's ineffective teaching strategy, he attributes his poor performance a factor beyond his control. If, however, your student admits that his poor class performance is due to his poor study habits and low motivation, he attributes the event to factors which are very much within his control. Now, controllability, controllability is a factor affecting attribution theory. In this instance, a student would attribute the reasons for his failure or success to something that can be controlled or not. For example, the student's inability to make his assignment is because he forget because he was playing online games. Then that is considered controllable. The student could have created his assignment first before playing. On the other hand, if the reason that is given is something like an emergency happen, uh, halimbawa kailangan niyang samahan ng nanay niyang may sakit, papunta sa ospital, then that is out of his control. Kaya magiging halimbawa ito ng uncontrollable attribute. May next pa po ba? Okay. Yeah. Ay, pabalik. Pabalik mo na, Rob. Rob, pabalik sa controllability. Oh. So, paano nga ba nakakaapekto ang attribution sa motivation? Ang motivation, ito ay ang kagustuhan ng halimbawa na kagustuhan mo. Halimbawa na lang na ito ay isang kagustuhan ng batang makatapos o mag-succeed sa buhay. Kaya mahalaga na malaman ng isang estudyante ang itinuturong dahilan ay maaring i-control o hindi. Maaring kasi o tataas ang pagnanais ng isang bata na magtagumpay kung alam niya na kaya niyang gawan ng paraan ang isang bagay at maaring bumaba ang motibasyon niya kapag nakita ng bata na wala siyang kontrol sa isang bagay. Isang halimbawa nito ay ang kahirapan sa buhay. Kapag nakita ng isang bata na kahirapan ay kaya niyang baguhin at maaring magbago ang kanyang buhay sa hinaharap, magiging mas masikap siya sa pag-aral at gagawa ng paraan para makatapos. Iyon po ay isang halimbawa sa kanyang motibasyon. Subalit, kapag nakita niyang ito bilang isang bagay na andyan na yan tanggapin na lang. So kapag di siya makabili ng materials para sa project niya, ang gagawin niyang dahilan ay lagi, mahirap lang kami, wala kaming pera. At sasabihin niya na, mahirap lang kami kaya di ako makakapagtapos. Dahil iniisip niya na ang kahirapan ay isang bagay na permanente. Ika nga, kahirapan, ipapanganak kang mahirap, mamamatay kang mahirap. So, yun lamang po. Next po. Next po.
Kasunod naman natin yung relationship among the dimension of attribution. Kanina tinalakay yung locus, stable, tsaka control. Yung locus, ito yung location of cause. While sa stable naman, ito naman yung of cause. Kapag control naman, ito naman yung of learning situation. Ngayon ay dumako naman tayo sa ability. Sa ability, sa locus niya, ito yung inside the learner. Kasi dito papasok yung success or failure ng isang learner. Halimbawa na lamang yung natural na talent niya, yung intellectual niya, dun papasok yon sa locus, sa inside the learner. Pagdating naman sa stable, dito papasok yung this indicate the ability is in a constant trait that doesn't change over time. Dito hindi nagbabago yung trait niya over time. Halimbawa na lang kapag iniisip ng bata na hindi siya magaling sa English, habang buhay na yun natatatak sa kanya na hindi siya magaling sa English. Ang pagdating naman dito sa control, dito naman since ability is viewed as stable and inherent, the learner perceive it as a beyond their control. Dito kapag yung learner out of control, mas mahihirapan siya na they can't easily change their natural talent or yung intelligence niya. Sunod naman natin is yung effort. Sa locus ito yung inside the learner. Dito effort is generally viewed as variable that can change. The learner can decide to put in more or less effort. Dito papasok yung dito nagde-decide yung learner kung mas marami ba yung ilalaan niya na oras sa pag-aaral niya or hindi. Doon papasok sa locus yon. Pagdating naman sa stable, ay baliktad. Sa locus pala, yung effort is also seen as originating from within the learner. Ay nanggagaling yung effort sa locus, nanggagaling sa learner. Pagdating naman sa stable, dito hindi nagbabago. Ay nagbabago dito pero nakadepende sa estudyante. Pagdating naman sa control, learning in control. Ibig sabihin, the learning has control over how much they put in. They can choose to work harder or less hard. Sunod naman natin yung luck. Sa locus, ang luck ay outside the learner. Ibig sabihin, luck is seen as an external factor that impacts success or failure. It's not something that comes from within the learner. Ito external to, hindi nanggagaling sa learner. Pagdating naman sa stable, luck is inherently unstable, unpredictable. It can vary from situation to situation. Dito naman sa stable, ito ay unstable naman to. Ito ay nangyayari sa sitwasyon. Pagdating sa control naman ng luck, learning out of control. Ibig sabihin, the learner has no control over luck. It happens randomly and it's beyond their influence. Pagdating naman dito sa task difficulty, sa locus, dito papasok yung outside the learner. The difficulty is considered as external factor. Katulad nga ng sinabi kanina ni Jimwell na kapag ang estudyante sa external is kapag pag mataas yung nakuha niyang score, ibig sabihin magaling yung nagtuturo na teacher sa kanya. Dito sa locus, task difficulty is considered as external. It relates to how hard or easy a task independent on the learner characteristics. Ayun yung kanina yung sinabi ni Jimwell. Pagdating naman sa stable, dito is unstable, can change. They perceive difficult of task can change. Different tasks or even the same task in different context is very difficulty. Dito naman is yung mga task, kahit na parehas na task, iniisip ng bata na mahirap ito. Pagdating naman sa control, learning out of control. Learning typically do not have control over how difficult a task is determined by external factors such as the nature of the task itself or how it is presented.
Okay, let's move forward to self-efficacy theory. A sense of high self-efficacy means a high sense of competence. Self-efficacy refers to an individual belief in his or her capacity to execute behavior necessary to produce specific performance attainments according to Bandura. Self-efficacy reflects confidence in the ability to exert control over one's own motivation, behavior, and social environment. Moreover, the low self-efficacy, the low you will believe you are capable of performing tasks. Ensure students achieve proficiency in fundamental skill, mastering essential abilities such as reading, writing, and arithmetic will equip students to handle more advanced tasks. The more you think you are capable of doing your task as a learner, it is a high possibilities to achieve your specific goal or a particular task. There are four factors of belief that can affect self-efficacy. Number one, performance experience. Previous success and failure experience on similar tasks. Number two, observational learning. Observational of the behaviors and consequences of similar models in similar situation. Number three, emotional arousal. Arousal that can be interpreted as enthusiasm or anxiety. When we say enthusiasm, it refers to the something cause a feeling of excitement and active interest, while anxiety refers to a feeling of fear, dread, and uneasiness. Number four, verbal persuasion, encouraging or discouraging message from other. Okay, let's move forward to the other slide. Make sure student master the basic skill. Dito, sinasabi na para ang isang learner magkaroon ng self-efficacy, kailangan magkaroon muna siya ng basic knowledge na mag-help sa kanya para ma-achieve yung task niya, perform their task well, and to have some confidence in their self. Nakalagay dito na kailangan yung learner maturuan muna natin siya ng basic skills like reading, writing, and arithmetic. For example, magre-report tayo. Kailangan may basic knowledge tayo. Kailangan bago tayo mag-report, magbibigay sila ng materials, di ba? Kailangan marunong muna tayong bumasa, marunong muna tayong sumulat para ma-perform natin yung task ng maayos. Kapag mataas yung self-efficacy natin, na which mean is, what I mean is, sa tingin mo kaya mo, may confidence ka sa sarili mo, ma-perform mo yung task ng maayos. Other slide po. Help them make noticeable progress on difficult tasks. That's why it is good that you help to see progress while you are working on difficult tasks. The knowledge that you are processing inspires you to keep on. Dito sinasabi na may mga task kasi na natatagalan tayo, na akala natin hindi tayo nag-move forward. Pero as a learner or as as a facilitator or as a teacher, kailangan din natin silang i-motivate para sa gayon, matutulungan natin sila na may basic knowledge na yung mga students na akala nila hindi nila magagawa yung task nila pero kaya naman pala nila. Na kailangan lang din nila na minsan ng motivation para sa iba. Ayan. Next slide po na ipapaliwanag ni Marinel.
So yun po, ang next po is communicate confidence in students' abilities through words and actions. So parang sabi nga dyan, through words and action. So first muna is confidence is essential in students' growth and success. So mapapakita natin siya by words through encouraging the students, pagbibigay ng papuri sa efforts nila, sa achievements nila. Tapos parang syempre importante rin magbigay ng feedbacks para alam nila kung ano yung dapat nilang i-improve. So sa actions naman is magpo-provide ka ng positive reinforcement. Tapos syempre magse-set ka ng high expectations kasi may tiwala ka sa mga students mo na kaya nilang gawin yung mga mahihirap na task na ipapagawa mo sa kanila. So next po. Ayan po, ang kasunod naman po is expose them to successful peers. Parang if you expose them to successful peers, they'd be confident and motivated in everything they do. So first is nagse-serve ito as an inspiration, yung mga successful peers. If their peers succeed, parang syempre ma-inspire yung mga learners na gawin yung best nila sa mga bagay na kailangan nilang gawin para syempre mag-succeed din sila. Next din is nagse-serve din as role models yung mga successful peers natin. 'Pag nakita ng mga student na nag-succeed yung mga peers nila, siyempre makikita natin yung mga student ng determination para gawin din nila yung lahat na makakaya nila at gamitin nila yung mga potential nila para magawa nila yung mga bagay na mahihirap man sa una. Isa rin ito sa nakakapagpa-boost ng confidence ng learners. So yung example po natin is, mag-i-invite ka ng successful na tao or successful na alumni para mag-share na experience at insights with students. Next na po tayo. Next pa po. So ito po yung other recommendations from motivation theorist. So first is provide competence promoting feedback. So encourage natin sila na kaya nilang gawin yung isang trabaho at meron silang kakayahan at malaking potential na gawin yung mga task na ibabato sa kanila ng mga facilitator nila. So second is promote mastery on challenging tasks. Wag nating bibigyan yung mga student ng sobrang dali at sobrang hirap na task. Bigyan natin sila ng average yet challenging task. Dito matututo silang mag-stick sa mga task na yun kahit na may hirap yun at gagawin nila ito step by step para mapadali yung process ng paggawa nila. Next po.
So, ayun no. Dumako naman tayo sa promote self-comparison rather than comparison with others. This says if you compare yourself with others, you'll become vain and bitter. For always there will be greater and lesser person than yourself after encouraging your student to set their goals, ask to them to evaluate their progress against their own work. So, ibig sabihin lang neto, sa bawat mga student kasi meron sila sariling kakayahan. And tayo mga as a future educator, kailangan din natin na, for example, imbis na ikumpara natin yung bata sa iba niyang kaklase, gawin mo siyang, i-motivate mo siya na yung mga ginagawa niya ay patuloy pang pagbutihan. And sa pag-motivate mo sa bata, doon nagkakaroon na yung bata is nagpapaulit yung sarili niya na mas patuloy mapaunod sarili niya and masukat yung sarili niya kakayahan. So, second one is be sure errors occurs with overall context of success. There will always be errors, mistakes as we learn. As we go through life, but cease to be mistake once we learn from them. But if it all errors that come one after other without taste of success, chance our student will be feel so down that they are robbed and encouraged to proceed. The learning process requires a challenge of new and different experiences, the trying of the unknown, and therefore necessarily must involve the making of mistakes. In order for the people to learn, they need the opportunity to explore new situations and ideas without being or punished of mistakes which are integral to the activity of learning. So, ayun. So, ibig sabihin lang neto, syempre, sa bawat mga sa atin, sa atin, ibig sabihin lang neto, sa lahat ng pagkakataon, pwede tayong magkamali. Kumbaga, yung pagkakamali na yon, nagiging pundasyon yun na para itama natin yung mga pagkakamali natin noon. And ibig sabihin lang ito, pag ikaw ay nakadama ng failure or na-fail ka, hindi ibig sabihin na fail ka na. Kumbaga, sa lahat ng pagkakataon, sa lahat ng experience na madadaanan mo from the past, magiging mabuting motivation mo siya para patuloy pang mag-succeed sa buhay.
Ayan. Pwede pa Zoom po. Pa-Zoom po. Next po. Ayan, punta naman tayo sa the influence of self-efficacy on motivation. So kapag kung sa status ng buhay may lower class, may upper class, may high class, dito naman meron tayong high self-efficacy learners and low self-efficacy learners. So ang high self-efficacy learners So, ang high self-efficacy learners is sinasabi dito na the students, ito yung mga students na nagbibigay ng so much effort with high capacity of IQ. Sila yung mga students na tumatanggap na mga challenges, ganyan, pagdating sa academic. Sinasabi din dito na if you have a high self-efficacy, you tend to approach life with a confident outlook so that you can trust that you can overcome the obstacles that you come your way. Parang dahil nga may high efficacy, may high self-efficacy ka, any challenges or obstacles na mapagdaanan mo is kaya mo siyang ma-overcome because of the high self-efficacy. For example, if someone is facing an upcoming test na sinabi ng teacher is extremely difficult,
since meron silang high self-efficacy, magkakaroon sila ng goal to ace by studying hard and dedicating time to mastering. So, punta naman tayo sa low self-efficacy learners. Pag sinabing low self-efficacy learners, ito yung mga student na they avoiding many task works, especially those are challenging and difficult. So, kabaliktaran lang siya ng high self-efficacy. Whereas students with high self-efficacy are willing to undertake challenging and difficult tasks. Ayun nga, magkabaliktad sila. Kung yung high self-efficacy is they are capable to do the challenging tasks. Well, yung naman, yung low self-efficacy naman is hindi niya kayang tumanggap ng mga challenging and difficult tasks. So, for example, sa low efficacy learners, for example ako, takot ako na magkaroon ng mga task na hindi ko kaya dahil parang ang tingin ko sa sarili ko is hindi kaya ng capabilities ko na magawa yung isang bagay na yon. Ganon siya. So parang pumapasok doon na napapangunahan siya ng hiya and doubting yourself na hindi mo kaya yung isang bagay because of your capabilities.
Ayun na 'no, so napakahalaga ng, dalawang theory na 'to dahil maa-apply natin siya sa iba't ibang paraan lalong-lalo na sa edukasyon. At ayun lamang at maraming salamat. Kami ang Group 1.